All right, I'm just going to start accepting people in here. Find my screen. I'm going to get started rather quickly. Just give me a second. But while everyone's hopping in here, I'd love to hear where you're calling in from, because it's always fun to hear what parts of the country you're coming in from. I'm going to share my screen. I know a few of you guys are on your phone, but all right, Indiana. Hey, Terry, she's from Michigan, Ohio. All right, so I have about 30 people signed up. I don't know how many people will make it live, or some people will be watching the replay, but I want to get started right away because I feel like there's a lot to cover and I want to make sure we have time for questions as well. So I'm going to actually share my screen this time. And if you have any questions as we go, feel free to drop them in the comments and then I can always go back to them, right? If there's something that you're like, oh, I want to ask this question, we can cover it after. I just want to make sure that we have time to go through all this stuff. Okay. Awesome. So everyone is here, whether or not you want to call it, I want to get toned, I want to build muscle, lose fat, I want to lose weight, whatever that is, you potentially have a goal, right? A physical goal that you're trying to reach. And that's what we're talking about today, and how to do that maybe after the age of like 35, right? Because that's where I feel like a lot of women start to struggle. So we're going to be talking all through that today and breaking it down for you because I think it's such an important topic. And I find that a lot of women, in our 20s, we used to be able to do whatever we like. We'd have our like the quick things that we would potentially see progress, and they don't seem to work anymore, right? Or you may feel in a place you're stuck. So during this workshop, you will learn a little bit more about me and why I do this. If you're new to my world, welcome. You'll also learn about me, and my 5 strategies. Sorry, my voice is like a little crackly. I apologize. You'll learn about my 5 strategies, my 5-step strategy to achieve the body that you want, and the common misconceptions that tend to hang a lot of women up. You'll also learn about where to start. I'm just admitting people as I go, so I forget, stop for a second. We're also talking about where to start. So I'm giving you actionable steps, but I also want you to not just consume, because we tend to do this. So the number of free resources I have in my inbox, the number of free trainings I have, and not taking any action, that is not actual making any changes, right? That's just sitting here more consuming, more procrastination, right? And then an invitation that I'm going to offer you, as well as a workshop goodie. So I said I'm giving out it's like a digital habit tracker, as well as a quiz that's going to kind of help guide you of like, is my metabolism something that I need to work on, right? Which is a lot of the struggle for most women. Is there something going on with like, what's my metabolism here? And any questions, of course. So if you're new here, hi, I'm Kim Platt. I'm an MNU nutritionist, certified macro coach, personal trainer, transformational coach, and mindset certified and habit coach. Basically, I love learning. I love education. I love fitness and nutrition. And I'm not sharing that just to be like, oh, this is my expertise. It's like, I truly have a passion for just learning more. And my biggest thing was when I first started working is I just thought I could just like set someone's calories and I would help them lose weight. And then soon to realize after the first 2 clients that I had that doesn't work, right? We are not robots. We don't just follow along with everything. And there's so much other pieces, that mindset that plays a role in things. And I have run multiple group programs, one-on-ones. I've co-coached with other coaches and worked with hundreds of women to help them achieve the body composition that they've wanted, build muscle, feel better in their skin, and find more freedom around food to really enjoy themselves more. And as you can see, I've been on my own journey in the past and done a lot of things to achieve the body that I want, but I've also made a lot of mistakes. So that's where I come from, is just I've been through it all. And that's why I have a lot of people that resonate. They're like, I feel like I hear myself in your story, because I have done it all, right? I started with low self-esteem. I started with lots of yo-yo dieting. I was a cardio bunny. I was a diet hopper, did diet pills, went down a path of like alcohol and drugs for a really long time, had lots of ups and downs from overweight to underweight. And I tend to be a little bit of a type A personality. little bit of a perfectionist, recovering one, overachiever who has really high expectations on myself, something that I'm learning to let go of, and I've really done a good job of that, and high standards, right? And I think a lot of women can relate to this. We have so many things, whether you're a mom, a working mom, wife, whether you have a really heavy career, you're taking care of your kids, you're taking care of your parents, you're taking care of another loved one. It's just like we have so many layers of things that are on us now, especially after the age of 35, that, we don't have that flexibility that we used to have in the past. And that's why, it starts to bubble up more as we get older and stress gets a little bit higher. And that's why I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. And while I did find a love for working out soon on, I know that not everyone falls into that category. I never looked the way I wanted to. Like I was doing the things, but not achieving the results, right? I would do the workouts, but not look the way I thought. And if you didn't see, I am a mom of two and a wife. So I get all of the things that come with having kids and being busy and all of those things, right? Working mom, dealing with all the things. And so you're in the right place if you maybe struggle with consistency, staying on track, whether it's overeating, whether it's emotional eating, whether it's like just getting lost with life and getting too busy, stopping and starting programs. It's supposed to be stopping and starting at a plateau with your weight. Your workout, you're working out, but you're not feeling like you look like it, just like I had mentioned. Maybe you're feeling sick of feeling stuck, right? That's like a super frustrating situation, falling off track on the weekend, right? Doing good all week, then falling off track. Or maybe you're feeling really restricted when you go on a diet, then out of control when you're not on one. Like you're either all in or all out. So we're going to be talking to you if this is you. And there will be some bonuses at the end where those who are ready to take action and see results can take up on those. So I'll be sharing that at the end, as well as those freebies, those little bonuses. But I want to engage you. I want you to not just like sit here and scroll social media at the same time you're listening to this, right? If you can, obviously if you're driving or something, like I get it. But I also want you to stay focused, because again, we can just sit here and absorb all this information and then just be like, oh, that was such a great training. And then just be like, oh, there's so much information there. But then we can also do it and apply it, right? So that's what I want you to take part of this. So if you're on this and you can answer in the chat, how confident are you to go from this classic Duncan Hines to making a cupcake? If you allowed the directions and you had the ingredients, how confident would you be? On a scale of like 1 to 5, like 5, I'm pretty sure I could make a cupcake, and 1 being like, no, I absolutely don't even cook. I don't even know how to do this. Let me know on the scale of 1 to 5 where you're at. Terry's saying a 3. I think Terry's not giving yourself enough credit over here. Pretty sure you can throw some eggs in there. But how confident would you feel for, making I know Terry, so I know she could make the cupcake, and not as pretty as this. Just saying, like, let's make the cupcake, right? 5, everyone feels pretty confident of what it takes to make something like this, right? We add some eggs, we add some oil, maybe it's water, we preheat the oven, and we cook it, right? And we make it. Doesn't have to be as pretty as this. All we want is the outcome of some cupcakes or some cake. So on the same level of like 1 not being very confident to really confident, how, and take my pictures aside, take yourself where you are now to where you want to get to. How confident do you feel like to achieve that goal for yourself? How confident do you feel like you are to lose fat, that you know exactly the strategy to get you there? Onto like the 1 to 5. I have to make some for your son tomorrow. 3, Missy's a 3, 2. So 1 being I'm not confident at all, and 5 being like, yeah, I got this. I can totally do that. I know exactly what to do, and I know how to follow through with that. So lots of 2s and 3s to get there. And I'm sharing that because whoever's watching on replay can't see the chat box. All right. So because of that, because I feel like this is the problem, right? Is we don't really know how to get to our goals. We know we have a little bit of the ingredients maybe, but we don't really know what is the temperature we're supposed to pick. How are you supposed to like use your electric mixer? Are you supposed to use a spoon? Are you supposed to have oil into here? Like, what does it truly take, right? We might have the right ingredients, but maybe we don't have the right strategy. So I am sharing that with you today, so you feel confident in understanding what that is. And when I talk about the dieter mindset, is like, this is like the old the old stuff. This is like the 90s, the way that it like told us that we need to like eat as little as possible, be as skinny as possible, and starve ourselves all the time and exercise a ton, right? This is where we get hung up on being like good and bad foods, and learning to have this fit mindset, this fit minded place that we come from to get to our goals. And I'm going to be talking all about that strategy today. So three things we want to consider with any type of goal, right, is where are we now, right? Building awareness where we are. The second piece is results you want, right? Where do I want to get to and how do I get there? Having that roadmap. And then how do I keep these results, right? Those are key, right? How do I not only get there, which is a lot of us can do this. A lot of us can get to two and then we revert back to one, right? We lose some weight and then we go back to the same thing. So we want to break free of that. We want to get away from those things. And to get from point A to Z, what happens with no clear strategy? We keep repeating the same things over, right? We keep repeating the same thing. Maybe we're hopping back into Weight Watchers for like the 20th time. Maybe we're picking up like the cardio or the exercise video that we've been doing. I don't think people do like exercise videos anymore, but like, you know what I'm saying? The same exact things that we used to do. Maybe we're cutting carbs. Maybe we're saying no more sugar. And it feels like a lot of effort, but not a lot of results, right? That's where like that no strategy and constantly starting back over at the beginning, right? There were years where I just felt like, oh yes, I'm finally like, God, I'm getting to my goal. And then all of a sudden I felt like I just did one thing and it just, whether it was self-sabotage or maybe I just like loosened up the reins a little bit, got to my goal, had this experience when I got married, lost all the weight, got to the lowest weight I ever got. It was the first time I actually got there. And then within like 5 months, guess what? Like I'm back up where I was and my body composition did not look the same way it was at the same weight years prior. So a goal without a strategy is like trying to go from Maine to Florida without a map or GPS, right? If you use Waze, you know, Waze is amazing. That'll get you away from all the intersections and like all the traffic. You may get there, right? You may end up in California or in Florida first, or you may up end, you know, back to where you started. Who knows where you're going to end up, right? You might achieve your goals, but it may take you twice as long. So that's all about getting that solid strategy. And when it comes to women over 35, right? What's interesting is that the things that I would suggest a woman to do at 20 to lose weight are the same things I'm going to suggest to you. And you might be like, whoa, wait, this is like for women that are 35 plus. With the understanding that we are not as resilient as we used to be at 20 years old. We're more sensitive, right? We are dealing with hormonal changes. We are dealing with losing muscle mass. We are dealing with maybe higher stress levels. We have more on our plates. Our activity levels are maybe hindered. Sleep is disrupted. Our lifestyle looks different. So it's a little bit different here, and we're also not as resilient. Like if you ever had, I used to have a lot of drinks when I was in like college and stuff, and I could go and have an all-nighter and then like wake up and be somewhat functional. And now if I did that today, I would literally be out for the count for probably months. Maybe not months, but like for a full week, I would probably be out, right? And you can probably experience this. Maybe you like stayed up late for, you know, New Year's Eve and all of a sudden you're like, wow, it takes me like 2 days, or you had a few many drinks and you realize like it takes me a really long time to recuperate. And that's because we're not as resilient, right? Our ability to manage stress when we are already stressed goes down. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. And that's really the big difference. And the 5 pillars that we're going to be talking about today is your metabolism, intentional movement, your nutrition, daily lifestyle, and your mindset. Like I said, in the beginning, I only focused on nutrition, right? Like I just thought that was like the key and in workouts. Like I would just give my clients that and I'd be like, here you go, like you're all set, but it doesn't work that way, right? Because it's like, it all affects each other. I just think it's like a big spider web, right? And we need to focus on all of these 5 pillars. So when we think about a lot of the things that it takes when it comes to nutrition, think about the misconceptions that I hear from a lot of women's things that I was struggling with myself were things like low carb is the best. You might hear this. You need to cut out sugar. Eating as little as possible leads to faster results. I know I was in this boat. Like I'd be like so excited. I can remember going to, it was when I was in college and I knew that I had a class from 6 to 9 o'clock. I'm like, this is perfect because I know I'll only need a protein bar and I'll be able to get my, you know, like hit my calories and I don't have to be like hungry all the time because I'm so busy. I won't think about it. right? It was like all about how fast we can get there. Eating healthy means you will lose weight. This is a huge misconception. I've had clients that are just, they're loving their avocado and bagels and eggs and things like that. And while those are very healthy foods, it may not be putting you in a calorie deficit to get you to your goals. There is one size fits all. I mean, how many times have we heard the 1200 calorie, is a way to go? I still hear this from clients that are hearing this from their doctors are telling them this, no matter their size, and that fasting is the best way to lose weight. That's kind of like a big one that's, I'd say, out there right now. And when it comes to doing too much, it's like keeping your kid up too late. My in-laws used to love to keep the kids up when they would take them, and they'd just be like, "Oh, well, they'll sleep later." And what would happen is, sure, they would fall asleep at like whatever time they put them to get to bed, maybe 10 o'clock. And it would always backfire because they would get up even earlier. And not only would they get up earlier, but they'd be cranky. They would be moody all day. Of course, they'd hand them back to us. So it's the same thing. It's like, you think it may help you sleep later by putting them to bed later, but it always backfires and you don't actually get the results you want. That's what happens when you're doing too much, cutting out too much, eating too little calories, and it will always backfire. So what does work? Customized balanced eating. And what I mean by this is the right amount of calories and macronutrients for you specifically, for your height, your weight, your age, your activity levels, and regular meal timing. I don't think so many women are just so busy. We're skipping breakfast, we're skipping meals, and it's just one, puts a whole lot of stress on our bodies, leads to more cravings, leads to you to, snacking all the time, leads you to like I used to call it like the hungry horrors with my husband, where you just like keep on eating and you never feel satisfied because you just waited way too long to eat. The right calorie deficit for you, which ideally is around 15-20%, right? If we go into these deep, aggressive calorie deficits, that can be really hard on metabolism, that can affect our hormones. Again, throwing off that sweet balance of those 5 things that we want to be focusing in on, that will actually slow things down and hinder things and affect your ability to even adhere to your diet. And 15% to 20%, just so you can get a good understanding of this. If you were maintaining on 200 calories, say 20% of that would be about eating 1600 calories in a deficit. So your weight loss calories would be about 1600 calories. And again, everyone's so different, it doesn't even matter your height or weight because everyone's metabolisms are so unique. And eating mostly whole foods, but also including fun foods, right? Part of this training was really about releasing that dieting mindset as well. And the number one thing is that belief that there's good and bad foods, there's junk foods. I grew up in a place where my father did a lot of dieting. Ironically, it's usually on the mom side. And so like we would never be allowed certain foods in our house. We never had anything with sugar in it. We never had soda in our house. It was very, very restrictive. So then it just unfortunately left me with not a great relationship with food. So like if I was around it, then of course I would overindulge in it because I would restrict it. And then same thing happens with their diets, right? You cut out carbs. How long can you truly stick to your low carb diet before all of a sudden you are just like, I need the carbs, I want more, something happens? So that's why one, quality of food does matter, especially the older we get. If we're dealing with things like hypothyroidism, that's important as well too. Once we get past like menopause and stuff like that, again, whole foods are really so vital. I used to come from a place which was like IIFYM, which was if it fits your macros. That's where you're like through everything in. Is if it hits your calorie goal, you're totally good. I'll have the Pop-Tarts and I'll have this and that, but that is not sustainable. That's going to lead to like lots of cravings, lots of sugar, like ups and downs and hormones being off as well too. So 20% is just a guideline. You get to decide what that looks like. I work with all clients on what that looks like for them, because some people need a little bit more flexibility and some people need to actually rein it in a little bit. And we're really focused on high protein. Protein is such a vital macronutrient for our bodies, right? It helps build muscle. It helps keep muscle, which we will lose as we age. As women, we naturally will have sarcopenia, which means we drop our muscle mass. That also means we lower our metabolic rate. That also means we're more at risks for falls and things like that. I know that's not very sexy to talk about and think about, like, oh, well, in my, like however old you are, like in like 10, 20 years, maybe, who cares if like, we're not thinking that way, but in the end of the day, those things are still important. But it also is one of the higher calorie, higher burning, basically, increases our thermic effect of food, which means that you burn more calories just by eating it. It keeps you full longer. It helps regulate your blood sugar. All of these things are so important to decrease cravings, decrease appetite, all of this stuff. So that's why it's like so many benefits to it. I could just keep going on. And enough fats and carbs, right? We think we need to just cut these things out. Low fat was huge in the 90s. Now it's low carbs, right? At the end of the day, we just need to be in a calorie deficit with the right balanced eating. And then fiber is also important to help regulate those blood sugar that we talked about. That leads to less of those cravings, less of those, like all of a sudden 2 p.m. hits and I'm like ready to sleep. Less of those like hormonal issues as well too. You know, it helps with detoxing your body naturally. Something that most women are not getting enough is enough protein and fiber. And those are two key things that most women need to get. And less all day grazing, right? I'm not a big like person that's ever going to say like don't snack. Like yes, if you want 3 meals and 2 snacks, go for that. But like what happens is it's this all day like snacking all day long, and we're not even recognizing what's going into our mouth, right? It's like we're so hungry, you know, like I could eat goldfish all day long. I could probably eat like 17 bags of it and never feel satisfied or full. So why is this important? The right portions of balanced eating will decrease your cravings, right? So then you'll feeling like less of like, oh, I need like chocolate, I need sugar, I need whatever that is. It helps manage your appetite, so you're not feeling like as hungry. You're not feeling like the hungry horse like I used to get. It keeps your metabolism healthy and reduces some of those hormonal imbalances that start to come up. You know, it's very normal in perimenopause, which can start as early as 35, 40, to start to see some imbalances, right? Estrogen starts to rise up and progesterone starts to slowly leave, and that can cause like some imbalances, right? And that can make even things worse, right? It can throw off like cravings and everything else. So we want to limit the amount of possibilities that our nutrition is causing those things, and limit stresses on our body. Again, stress is so vital, and stress doesn't mean just like we're really stressed out at work. Stress can be too deep of a calorie deficit. Stress can be dieting too long. Stress can be doing too many workouts. Stress can be doing very low carb, right? And then less of those sugar drops that I was talking about that leave your energy kind of depleted. And so the second piece, the second misconception, and we're on number 2 here, is that burning more calories more is better, right? So that belief that more we do, the better results that we will get. And the more workouts, again, feels like, okay, if I get 5 workouts in, I'll see better results, right? I'll look better. I used to do like so many strength training sessions a week and just be like, why don't I look the way I want to look? Rest days aren't needed, right? You know, I got into a phase where it was like rest days were just like me, I don't know, doing cardio, like HIIT training, which is not a rest day. The belief that weights will make you look bulky. I feel like a lot of women have started to change this belief, but back in the day, you know, I remember when I started lifting, I think I was around 12 years old. Actually, I went down in the basement with my dad's, had like he like set up a whole workout area. And I started using his book that had a nice program in it. And I remember my mom and sister like took me down. They're like, Kim, you really maybe not shouldn't be lifting weights because you might look like a man. You know, you might start to look like a man. And I was just like, no. Like for some reason I caught on early. I didn't believe that. But it was something that they were really concerned about. And I still hear this from other women. And exercise cardio is most important, right? Like the cardio, if we want to lose fat, or lose weight, you have to be doing cardio. And that is not the case. And pushing yourself by doing more is like expecting to bake a cake faster by turning up the oven temperature to its max, right? And we all know how that's going to come out. It's not going to come out right? You end up burning the cake, ruining the outcome. It's not going to be what we expect, right? It usually leads to burnout if we're overdoing things. Usually could even lead to muscle loss, increased cravings. That's something that I experienced. I started to experience binges where I'd be exercising a ton in the morning. I would do lifting for 45 minutes and do cardio for 45 minutes. And the amount of I would try to eat lower calories, but at some point in time, maybe at night, it would just completely backfire and I couldn't stop eating at night and felt frustrated. So what is the right movement for us that are, over 35 wanting to lose fat and gain muscle? It's going to be weight training, if you didn't already guess this, but this is true weight training, right? Progressive overload is what we call it. And this is progressively adding resistance onto our muscles in some way or form. This could be increasing weights. This could be increasing reps. This could be increasing the number of sets that we do. This could be improving our form. And I don't like to give like straight out numbers, but I want to give numbers in some of these contexts because I think it's helpful to hear. And I have clients, again, I have 2 to 4 days on here. I have clients that are doing 1 day. Okay. I have one clients that are doing 3 days. Like it isn't enough clients that will choose to do 5 days. I just give a range because I feel like that's helpful, that you don't have to be doing 5 days a week. You can see results at 2 days a week. We just want to make sure it's an effective program. The other second thing that we really want to focus in on is 8 to 10,000 steps. And again, this is a number. I have clients that are doing 6,000 steps, and I have clients that are walking 15,000 steps. These are just an average. There is a link in recent research studies that there's a correlation or a causation. I don't know if it's really been ironed out that your mortality rate goes up with the less steps you had. So you will live a longer life if you're in that category starting at around 7,000 steps. There's a link to seeing that it significantly increases the length of your life. And again, like I know this isn't sexy, like we don't always want to talk about that, but that's important as well to hear, is that we care about our longevity, right? But walking 8 to 10,000 steps is kind of like that sweet spot. There's no magic number for you. It's gonna be whatever fits in your life and your program itself. Cardio sprinkled in, and I think everyone can benefit from cardio because it helps your heart health, and that's important. But it isn't always required. I say anywhere from 0 to 2 days of cardio is probably more than enough. And if you're doing like 4 days of strength, I would probably say 1 to 2 days is more than enough. If you're really pushing yourself, that's actually going to help your heart health anyways. And the other thing is less focus on the calorie burn. Those numbers on your Fitbits and Apple Watches do not matter. I used to wait until I left the gym until I hit 300 calories. Those days were really, horrible. Like I just remember just being like, okay, I have to wait till I hit 300 calories. And then I thought that that would like lead me to seeing the results that I want, but it doesn't really matter. Strength training will build up your metabolism over time to burn more calories throughout the day. There isn't so much of a focus, these are so off. The cardio machines are very off. So if we're focusing on so much of burning calories, it's still in that diet mindset, right? It's so focused on like doing more. And then we really want to focus on quality over quantity, right? What is the most effective thing that we can do with the least amount of time that we have? That's where really we want to focus on. And most women, even if they're increasing their cardio, they're not eating enough to support that. So if you are someone who's like a runner or something else like that, yes, that's not a problem. If you're someone who has those focuses, I have a client she runs like a half marathon and she's coming up to a 10K. That's fine. We're increasing her calories. Even she's at maintenance now, but she was in a deficit before. We are increasing calories. You can support those activities with more food. And so why is this important? More muscle equals that toned look, right? If you want to look toned, you need more muscle. How many times, if you've been in a place, hear the story from a lot of women is that like, I lost a lot of weight for XYZ. Maybe it was a wedding, maybe it was for something else, but I didn't look the way I wanted to, right? I kind of looked like soft and I looked kind of fluffy. Like those things, just by doing lots of cardio, won't give you the toned look that you're looking for. But there's so many benefits to strength training, between the balanced blood sugar, we lose muscle as we age, so many benefits in like hormonal health, cardiovascular health, mental health, confidence. All of these things are so vital to building muscle as we age. And I could just go on forever about it. But walking too, okay, sorry, she's just leaving. But walking increases overall calorie burn, right? So what often women have found, or what have been told, is that our metabolism slows down after 40. There's new research again, and if you didn't understand, like I'm an evidence-based, I am a science-backed coach. So like everything that I do and the way that I work with my clients is based on evidence, and it's also based on experience. So what we see with women is that actually now it's 60 plus that we see that metabolism go down slightly, right? And part of the problem too is that we're just moving less as we age. And that's part of a problem as well too, is that it's not, you hear a lot of women like, I'm doing everything, but not seeing changes. It could be because you aren't moving enough, right? It could be because you just only, especially working from home, only getting in 3,000 steps a day. That could be part of the problem. And when it comes to walking has so many benefits besides just building up your metabolism, mental health, helps digestion, helps again that blood sugar regulation, which is so important for like less ups and downs, energy crashes, all of those things. And then cardio may not be the best exercise for fat loss. It has its benefits, but it may not be the best. And the body adapts to cardio quickly, can actually increase hunger. So I like to share Michelle's story because I feel like she was such an amazing client because she was dealing with like early onset dementia, and she ended up reversing this when working together. So she was someone that came to me that was doing cardio. She wasn't seeing changes. She's like, I'm eating healthy. Like she was very much, when I laughed about the bagel and avocado and stuff like that too, that was something that she was doing, right? So she was eating healthy most of the time, but she wasn't looking the way that she wanted to. So we worked together, and she ended up losing the two difference between the pictures, or I think there was like 8 pounds. But as you can see, her body composition completely changed, which is why we can't be so hung up on the scale. And she was eating around 1,700 calories to lose this weight. She was about 190 pounds, I think it was. So you're able to do that. She was more strong, more fit. Her family was like, do not do this. You never stick to anything. And like I said, she was an amazing client. I have like a love for all my clients in general. So I can just talk about them all. And number 3 is just this misconception is that you need a quick fix, right? You must rely on discipline and willpower to knuckle through it. We need to get to our goal weight as quickly as possible, and then we can go back to what we're doing. That's another misconception. Everyone else comes first. I threw this in here because I feel like this is very true to women over 35, is like, I have no time. Everyone else is priority ahead of me. Which also forces us this little bit of quick fix mindset, right? That I just need to work harder, sleep less, power through, hustle through. I need to do harder. I can stay up late. I can sleep less, I'll sleep when I'm dead type of mentality. So much of that. And when you're only focusing on your just your workouts and your nutrition, and not focusing on your lifestyle and habits, is the same thing like studying really hard for an exam, but forgetting to bring a pen. You will be prepared in one aspect, but missing a crucial element of success, which is why so many women will revert back to the same weight they had before if they don't change their lifestyle. And what we do, and what I suggest with all my one-on-one clients, is the focus is really sleeping at least 7+ hours. We focus on quality of sleep, sleep routines, all of these things that are so important. Stress management, really managing your stress. We have more stress as time goes on, as we get older. So really decreasing the amount of stress that we have and managing the stress all through our mindset and other things. Reducing or eliminating alcohol. Never going to say that cut it out completely. I don't think everyone really needs to, but generally reducing it, especially if it's the thing that you're doing to reduce stress, right? Because it's actually causing more stress on your body. The other things is really building habits, routines, rituals, systems, and boundaries, right? Like saying no, making yourself a priority. Also, recovery and rest days are important. Again, we're all revolving everything around stress, right? The higher our stress levels, the worse our body composition looks. And when we add more like pushing harder, no rest days, right? This just increases our cortisol levels, which is our stress hormones, which can actually lead to like weight around our stomachs, right? Which is not something that we want. So it also like limits our, increases our cravings, our appetite, increases, like it plays around with our leptin and ghrelin levels, which are basically our hunger and satiety hormones, which tell you you're hungry and full, which is why if you don't get a good night's sleep, you're so hungry and craving things. You crave carbs, you don't crave a chicken sandwich. You're craving like, give me like the goldfish or the Cheez-Its or something. So why do we care about the lifestyle? Because again, it will reduce hormonal imbalances, cravings, appetite changes, your metabolism slowing down, right? Because if you have really high stress, it has been linked to your metabolism slowing down. It can throw off your thyroid hormone, all sorts of things, fat storage, increase emotional eating. Again, these things aren't sexy, but it's the truth. This is what drives results, is making sure you're changing your lifestyle. And if you are stressed to the max, your ability to feel more motivated is going to go down. It's almost impossible to change your behaviors when you are super stressed, and you will make better decisions. You will feel like you have more willpower. You will feel more empowered. You will feel more intentional when you make these things a priority, when you sleep more, when you take care of these habits. And and routines and taking care of yourselves. So this is my client. I'm still currently working with her. She came in and she's like, I'm not barely even eating anything and I'm not losing weight. So our first thing was really like dial in, like, what is going on? What I found out is that she was just not aware of how much she was eating. And we were able to slowly increase her calories up and continue fat loss because the fact that like she was actually eating more than she was intended. But she said, I never thought I could see the changes I'm seeing at my age. And I had a comment on this masterclass in general where someone was like, I said something like, oh, I shared my before and after, like, this is like, you can reach your goals after 35. And someone made a comment like, yeah, but what happens after 40? And it's like, there was no big change. I think Julie, I hate to like that I didn't look up her age. I think she's in her low 50s. I want to say like low 50s. I don't want to like then I don't want to like insult her if I was she's in her high like late 40s, but I think she's in her 50s. She's an amazing rock star client. She's down 9 pounds already. She's lifting heavier than she ever had. She was telling me she was doing chest presses with 40-pound dumbbells. I'm like, yes, go. Kill it. It's amazing. You can really do this if you get your lifestyle right. Her big thing that we focused on with her, strength training, getting her nutrition dialed in and scaling back on workouts. She was doing a ton of workouts. She was doing a lot of hot works. I think it's hot works in there a lot. We really focused in on the key things, strength training, getting her protein up and taking care of herself in those ways. And those things can really drive results. The fourth thing, and I'm going to wrap this up quickly, is that you're broken. You are not broken. You don't need to be fixed. The misconceptions, right, are that we need more discipline, we need more willpower, we need to be perfect. We just need to think positive, right? I just need to think positively and then like things will be better, right? We don't need to just like suppress all of our thoughts. We can allow for these positive, negative to be part of things. And you need to be harder on yourself. If I'm harder on myself, I will achieve better results. And when we talk about mindset refers to the collection of attitudes, beliefs, thoughts, and perceptions that shape an individual's behaviors or decisions. So think of it like the glasses that we put on, the lens that we wear, right? Imagine that we had this lens of how we view the world, how we view ourselves, right? That's what we consider our mindset. And so what we want to be doing is be more compassionate with ourselves. Compassion first, rather than beating ourselves up. That's how we drive change. Awareness is the first place, and letting go of judgment is the second place, right? I could tell you a million stories about like how hard I am on myself in the past, about like I was always beating myself up. I thought I could hate myself then, and that does not work. When you are more compassionate with yourself, you will make better choices. You will stick with things longer. You can feel like you have more motivation and willpower. Think about that in like how we treat our children. We no longer are using like hitting our kids, and we're no longer like shaming them into things. We are focusing on positive motivation, right? We're focusing on like giving them things that like positive reinforcement, that type of stuff, versus shaming them. You can't read. You're not good at this. Can you imagine that? Like if you grow up in a household where you're just like, you're never going to be good at math, that child is going to grow up thinking they're not going to be good at math. If you constantly beat yourself up of like, you're an idiot, you're going to fail all the time, where are your thoughts going to go? It's going to go exactly down that rabbit hole of like, I'm never going to be good enough. I'm going to fail. And you will be a self-fulfilling prophecy. You will indulge in all the foods, and you will find yourself failing because you continuously have these thoughts. Perfection doesn't exist. That's what one of the big focuses. Realistic goal setting to make it attainable, slowing down and being more mindful. One of the big words that I've come across with my clients recently is mindfulness and intentionality. And those two things will get you to your goals because you will be making better choices. You will be more mindful of your choices. You are slowing down, right? Slowing down in those moments. Why is this important? If I hadn't explained it enough, that all or nothing thinking will kill your progress. All or nothing thinking could be like, I didn't get my workout in. I might as well just skip the entire week. I already ate 2 cookies. I might as well eat the entire thing and like binge on all the foods all weekend. It's important to set sustainable, attainable goals that you can actually achieve that helps build up your motivation. You can actually create motivation. That is something in health behavior change is something that you can do, create your own motivation. It is a feeling, and we can create other things as well, right? Other emotions as well. And your mindset will make or break your progress. And Missy, I have Missy's story here. And she came to me after we've been on and off working together, and she was not seeing results. She was trying, she reversed, she was working with another coach. She went through a whole different journey herself. And when we kind of came back together, working together, she was trying to go in a fat loss phase. I was kind of talking her through it, like through Messenger and stuff like that too. And then we just came to find out, like, your body's not ready for it. We need to bump your calories up. We need you eating more, right? So that's what we did. We really worked on increasing her calories up, focusing in on taking care of herself, really focusing in on getting solid strength training programs, and focusing on the scale isn't the most important thing in her life, and things like that too, on all the other amazing things about her. And she stopped stressing as much about food, right? She started seeing changes, that actually scale went the opposite way, right? Instead of like gaining weight on increasing calories, she was losing weight. And the much clearer mindset she had, is what she said, a much clearer mindset and the motivation to continue on after working together. And the fifth thing is always on a diet, right? This always on a diet type of thing. I can't stop until I lose the weight, right? This, like, never off a diet. When was the last time you didn't diet, right? I hear this from so many women. Pushing harder. You've heard this one a bunch of times. More workouts, eating less. You can break your metabolism. You're stuck feeling like you can look at cake and gain weight, right? That's not something that you're stuck with. That's a misconception. I felt the same way. And keep repeating the things that worked before, right? Like we talked about before. If Weight Watchers worked before, I'm just going to do it again. I'm just going to do it again. I had a client recently. I don't have her story in here, but Kelsey, she's like, when we signed up, she's like, I just signed up for Weight Watchers before we signed up together. I'm like, all right, we're just going to not do Weight Watchers and let that run out, and let's work together. And now she's down like 12 pounds and she's in maintenance for a while. She's doing some untracked days and things like that too. And then she's going to move into another fat loss phase after this. So this comes into the perfect time frame of a healthy metabolism. And what is this? Is going through multiple phases. We wouldn't expect a football player, a baseball player, and even if you're not into sports, understanding this is that they're not always on season, right? They're not always in their on season. They're not always doing. They're spending time in their off season where they're maybe having more restorative stuff. They're really building on maybe some strength training that they're not able to do during their regular times. They're really focusing on priming themselves as they get ready for things. And we want to think about these phases that we're supposed to go through. We should be spending time at maintenance. We should be spending time in a weight loss phase. We should be spending time in maybe getting our calories up. We may choose to spend a little time in a muscle building phase. Totally depends on you. But the 3 phases you need to be doing is or 2 phases is like maintenance and weight loss. How you get there depends on your approach and what makes sense for you. But what I would suggest is always sticking to like 12 to 16 weeks. This does shift a little bit depending on the client. If they have a lot of weight to lose, we will do breaks though. This is the number one thing that women don't have, is an after diet plan, an after weight loss plan, and an actual strategy for doing this type of stuff and going in and out and then going back up and then learning to be at maintenance. And so this is so important because women aren't having problems losing weight. Women are having problems maintaining the weight that they've lost, right? So why is it important? Is it improves results while also keeping your metabolism flexible. It also, would I say flexible, that means that like you go into a calorie deficit and you see weight loss. That's flexibility. And then maybe also like maybe you ate an extra 100, 200 calories and you're not gaining weight on that, which tends to happen when women are chronically dieting, is they start to see they eat a little bit more, then all of a sudden it's like their body weight just increases. And it seems like, okay, what's wrong? I'm looking at this like cookie and I'm gaining weight. It minimizes fatigue that you experience when you're in a weight loss phase. It decreases your self-sabotage, your metabolic adaptations, which all people will have happen. This is a plateau that you will get at some point. Everyone will get there. And the hormonal imbalances and more stress on our body. If you're chronically under eating, you're putting more stress. This could cause thyroid problems, which actually lowers your metabolism. It also can decrease muscle mass. It can also lower your metabolic rate. Like it can do so many different things. Hormonal imbalances, like all those things will be tied together, because if one thing is off, everything gets off. So if you have hormonal imbalances, there's a good chance your metabolic rate's off. If your thyroid is not functioning, it's like your thermostat on your body. All of a sudden you could eat X number of calories and be gaining weight that maybe is like, seems like like a lower amount than you're eating. And it also teaches you how to be at maintenance. So this is my client Dawn, and I just asked her today. So I think she's 60. She may be 61. So all those people that are saying that you can't lose weight at 40. She was 60. She came to me eating like around 1,500 calories. We slowly got her calories up. She was having a hard time giving into that at first, but like then she was like, okay, I get it. Like the scale isn't moving, right? She literally didn't see any change in the scale. But between these two pictures, like you can see her body composition completely changed. Her arms are more defined. She was strength training. She's actually gone into a fat loss phase now, and we're starting to see changes again in her. And she's just a great example of age isn't the only limiting factor. She also has hypothyroidism. So that, if we have all these excuses of my age and hypothyroidism, like all these things, that's not going to hold you back from achieving your results. So I wanted to give you a good place to start. And one of the biggest places that I have with all my clients is this build it phase, which is building a strong foundation. You would never want to build a building without having a strong foundation, right? It would just crumble, right? We don't want that. So it's all about priming your metabolism, finding what's working and calibrating where you're at. And so what we want to do is look at this and the misconceptions here, which means you can just jump right into a fat loss phase. This is not the truth. Some women are not able to jump into a fat loss phase. I'm going to share the quiz in just a minute, that you can kind of do an assessment on yourself and see if you're someone who may need to reverse diet, what we call it, but also work on your metabolism, that you don't need to work on mindset and relationship with food, right? That's kind of like the misconception that you need the perfect macros, right? Then you will see results. Kind of talked through this. It isn't. There's so many other factors that are related to this. If you can't follow through your macros, it doesn't matter anyways, right? And I will just do what I've always done before, right? These are the things that are like our misconceptions. So to build a strong foundation is creating awareness first. So I wanted everyone to have some sort of actionable steps, and that's going to be, tracking for a full week in your an app, right? Tracking how many calories you're naturally getting in, weighing yourself and taking measurements, right? Seeing what happens during this week. Are we losing fat? Are we gaining weight? Are we maintaining our weight? That's going to give you a good foundation of where you're at specifically. And then setting a game plan for the two different options that you can lead to. And I wanted to share and invite you, anyone that watches this replay as well, is one-on-one coaching. And that's for if you're ready to end the frustration of the weight loss roller coaster and feel more in control of your physical results, that it's more predictable and that it's more achievable for you. And so that's you, as we've said before, if you struggle with consistency, staying on track, not seeing changes, right? Feeling like you're at a plateau, or you look at food and gain weight, stopping and starting programs, sick of feeling stuck, working out, but not seeing the results that you expect to see. That was like my client Julie too. She was working out like 6 days a week. She's like, why am I not seeing results? Knowing what to do, but not actually following through on it, maybe emotionally eating, self-sabotaging, those types of things, falling off track on the weekend, feeling really restricted and then out of control, that all in or all out. And so how can coaching help you if you feel like you're someone who's stuck? You've been doing this for like 3-4 months, or you've been trying for a while. That's a time that we want to get outside advice through a solid program, right? As my program lays out, is the 5 pillars that are so important, right? And I joke around like I'm not your average macro coach, because I'm not someone there's a million macro coaches out there. If all you want is someone to set your macros, then you should go find them, because there's someone that can really just do that for you and just like make adjustments, and that might work for you, but it also might not. And I'm guessing it's probably not going to, because didn't work for me, and it didn't work for most of my clients that come to me after tracking macros and seeing another coach. It helps reduce the time that it takes you, eliminate mistakes, giving you feedback and advice, right? We're looking at our blind spots, being able to offer you things that you're not willing to do yourself or scared to do, changing behaviors. Growth really happens when we get uncomfortable. And that's what, investing in our health and ourselves is so important. And to speak to that itself, like I was thinking about this the other day, is like, I invest in coaches all the time. I think it's one of the most pivotal things that I've ever done in my entire life, is that I used to feel guilty about buying a winter jacket. Like I had no problem to get one for my kids, but then if I needed one myself, like I just had like the worst winter jacket for years because I was afraid to spend money on myself. I was like unwilling that I was like important enough to do that. And I see that happen all the time with women. Is it just like this struggle for importance of like, what, am I worth it type of thing? My client Michelle, like everyone in her family told her not to do it because she wasn't going to make it, right? And I get that. It's like we have so many lost failures. But I always believe in my clients, and that's one thing that I always tell you. And accountability and support and that customized approach. And as I talked through the 5 pillars already, the things that you get with one-on-one coaching is personalized macros and calories that so you don't have to stress about what you're eating. You know exactly what to eat. That accountability and check-ins so you stay consistent and get better results and end that frustration that you're just spinning your wheels and feeling like nothing's working. Guided goal setting and habit tracking so you know exactly where to focus each week so you don't feel overwhelmed and you know exactly what to do and create those long-standing habits that really matter, as well as food log review and weekly feedback, right? That's one thing that I love is just giving in-depth feedback, mindset support, homework if needed for faster progress. And the understanding that you're on the right path, and strategy calls on a monthly basis so we can make sure that you have a solid game plan for travel, vacations, and feel stress-free and truly enjoy those things. And then a library of resources, video trainings, etc. So you can spend less time Googling and more time with your family, as well as voice and text support to ask questions, get feedback, and you get things answered on the fly. We're all busy, and get anything you have confidence in the things that come up in life. So with that, I'm doing a bonus for anyone who's watching this replay. If you apply by the 14th, you will also get the masterclass that I have that teaches you how to set your macros. It walks you through there, as well as how to set your own calories, that workbook, and 6 weeks of progressive overload training. And for coaching with me, I want to be completely transparent of my pricing and what it looks like for nutrition coaching, which is $349 a month or $997 for the 3 months if you paid in full. But then we also do 6 or 12-month commitments because let's just be honest, we don't change overnight. And for the women that choose to do and apply over the next 2 days, we'll get 2 bonus weeks. So you'll get 2 bonus weeks when you sign up. So you get 14 weeks and those other bonuses if you apply. Doesn't mean you have to lock in those next 2 days. What happens, you fill out your application, we hop on a call. We make sure that we're good fit together. I make sure that I can help you. Of course, that's the biggest thing is that we have that connection between us. Because again, if I don't feel like there's an open connection with us or I can't help you, I'm never going to take you as a client. So I want to make sure that I handle that. And I know we're coming up to almost an hour. So I want to make sure that I hand over the goodies for this. I want to actually stop sharing my screen so I can share you these things, and I'll drop them in the comments here. So this is the quiz. If you feel like, do I need to work on my metabolism? This is a good sign that we may need to focus on reverse dieting and changing things up. So I'm going to drop that there. That is the quiz that you can take. And then this is a sheet, like a digital sheet that you can do that will, all you have to do is do a copy that is a habit tracker. It's really cool because you can enter stuff in and you can actually keep track of how much you're doing over time. And you'll feel really good about like seeing, okay, wait, I've done this habit so many times this week. I've tracked my macros so many times this month. I've hit walks, my 10K step this many times. And when you have solid numbers, you can make solid decisions from those. And that's like the big key thing that are so, so important. And before I forget, because drop the one-on-one application in there as well too. And because it's already almost 8 and I've kept you guys on a long time, but I also wanted you to take time, anyone who's watching this on replay too, that can watch this and then come back in the later on and potentially if you have any questions, that I'll be here to help you. So what I am doing is I'm going to host another little Q&A that is going to be, I don't know where I can't see. I was going to pull up the thing. It's going to be next Monday at 7 p.m. And you have the ability to take that quiz. If you sign up, my light just went up, sign up and you can answer that quiz, get any, go listen to this training, ask me any questions, get coached on anything that you're struggling with, like what one area, like how many workouts do you think you should do, any of this type of stuff. So you're going to have that time next Monday if you choose to hop on that live call and Q&A. And if you do sign up for it, there's a little bit of a RSVP thing you can do. And if you really do want to get a little bit of a diet audit or like a little bit of audit of your lifestyle and stuff like that, I have a sheet that you can fill out ahead of time so I can make sure that I have a good understanding of where you're at. So we're not doing it on the fly, and I can be like, okay, I have a better understanding of where you're at and I can guide you along. Any questions? I know that was a lot. I'm trying to wrap it up quickly before we hit the 8 o'clock hour. My kids will be home in the next 15 minutes. They're at practice right now, but and you don't need to ask me to share the stuff. You can just make a copy of that habit tracker. So if you do go to like file and copy, I know a few of you just asked for it. All you have to do is you should be able to copy it. Let me know if you still have trouble with it. Any questions for anything that I covered? Know that was a lot of information. Anything? And again, I'll do another Q&A on Monday at 7 p.m. I'll send out that email too in the replay to tell you a little bit more about that. But that's really going to give you an opportunity to get some free coaching, some like guidance, anything else, any other questions that you come out in general, anything's open to talk about. Nothing. Everyone's good. Awesome. All right. Well, I will see everyone if you choose to at 7 p.m. Do I switch up coaches? That's not too personal. Nothing's personal. You can ask me anything. I personally don't have nutrition coaches right now. I actually have sorry, my light's bothering me. I have a behavior change coach. So we work on like more behavior change relating to time management and stuff with my business, but I've had business coaches. I have had nutrition coaches. I actually had really bad experience with a nutrition coach, is why I do the things that I do. Because I didn't feel very connected to mine. I felt a little sad about it because she like didn't know anything about me. There's some people that have rosters about like 60, 100 clients and they don't really know what's going on. So I didn't feel like it was communicating really well. And I just haven't needed it recently. I think, I would love to go back to it, but other things are like kind of prioritized for me. So I think it can be good to switch from coaches if you want to. I think it's try one out and see if that person fits you. But if you could stick with them as long as you want, I've had clients that will stick with me for years, right? And we're always working on something else because there's other little pieces that we always kind of work on. It's usually like setting boundaries with ourselves and how like habit change and those type of things too. So, no need to apologize. It actually helped me realize what I don't want to do in my business too. So it's actually been beneficial. But any questions as far as that, Terry? Like you were questioning like, as far as like, is it good to switch it up? Or you feel good? All right. All right. So if everyone's good, or you can message me if you have questions, then I can answer it on the Q&A itself. So yeah, I mean, like I've had different business coaches and stuff, but I find like if you find someone that works, like there's no worries. It's I don't think there's like if you find something that's working for you, then I don't think you need to change it up. If you want to change it up, you could go and try someone else. And like I would never get offended if my client wanted to go work with someone else because they maybe have a different focus than me. And that's totally cool too. They might see that they like that person better or not. If I'm not the right fit for everyone, that's totally okay. Right. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. Keep me posted on any questions. I will see you in the Q&A if you choose to hop on there to ask any questions. Again, free coaching if you want it. I'm here for that. That's what I do a lot of that in the macros, metabolism, fat loss Facebook group. Always a ton of trainings in there and challenges and fun stuff in there. So anyways, have such a great evening. Thank you. I appreciate you spending the time with me today and we'll talk later.